if you're into gravel, if you're into watching gravel bike reviews on YouTube, and if you're the sort of person that sorts from cheapest to most expensive when online shopping, chances are you have seen an Ozark gravel bike review pop up on your YouTube recommended. Now, for those that don't know, the Ozark gravel bikes appear to be the cheapest off-the-shelf gravel-specific bike that you can purchase in America and Canada. Now, the keen-eared viewers might recognize my distinct lack of an American accent, and that is because I'm from Australia. One of the many places that you can't just walk into the shops and buy one of these Ozark gravel bikes off the shelf, but maybe we have one better, and that is what we're about to find out. In this box, what we have is surely the cheapest off-the-shelf gravel bike available in Australia, but is it worth the money? Let's unbox it and take the first look. So what we have here is a Fluid Alpine gravel bike, and these are available in Anaconda stores across Australia. The price of these bikes currently is 399 Australian dollars. As of the 25th of April 2025, the conversion rate to USD would make this $254.86. Now, I've watched quite a few of the Ozark gravel bike reviews. I have a few reasons why I believe that this bike here is even better value. So let's start unpacking and unwrapping, and we'll talk through the differences. Out of the box, you'd have to agree that it at least looks the part. And I mean, I actually seen this in person in the store before I handed over my money. So I knew that it already sort of looked pretty cool. The color that you'll see online does look a lot creamier than what it is in person. So it looks like just a off-white creamy color online, whereas the actual color in person looks like more of a sandy taupe kind of color. I didn't mind the color that I had online, but I think that this looks even better in person. So I'll read this next bit off my phone because I'm never gonna remember all these numbers. However, like I mentioned at the start of the video, this costs 399 Australian dollars. There is no difference in price between the medium and the large version of this bike. I don't think there is a small version available. Overseas, the small and medium Ozark are a cheaper option than the large. So overseas, you'll get a small and a medium for 248 USD, and the large is 278 USD. Keep in mind that $399 is if you purchase it in a box. It is an additional 35 Australian dollars if you want them to assemble it in store. So that's the cost differences out of the way. We might start at the front of the bike and we'll work our way through, and yeah, we'll check out each component along the way. So up front, we have the L2 shifters, and most of the group set is L2. These shifters are, I believe, the exact same, if not very similar to those available on the Ozark. They are shifters with the paddles and the thumb shifters. So the bar tape that is on these bars is just a cheap foam bar tape. And I mean, I wouldn't expect anything else. It is quite comfortable, but it's not known to be the hardest wearing tape. Now, the handlebars that come on the Fluid, they don't appear to be as flared as the ones that come on the Ozark. So the Ozark bike, it looks like it has a really specific gravel handlebar with quite an aggressive wide flare. And these have more of a compact standard drop. So I don't think that these would be like a gravel specific handlebar. They would just be an off the shelf compact drop handlebar. In any case, it's a cheap bike, so keep that in mind. it might be worth an upgrade if you want that extra bit of stability. I will go through all the detailed specs in another video. This is just a brief overview, but I would say that these would be between like a 400, 420 mil wide bar, and I don't think that the handlebar width is any different on the smaller sizes. Now, staying up front, we are met with the same sort of steel fork that the Ozark has. However, the mounting points on this are slightly different. So the Ozark will have 3 mounting points down the outside of the fork leg, and this fork here has 2 on the outside, and then there is a rack mount on the inside of the fork leg, if you can see. You'll also notice that this bike is spec'd with mechanical disc brakes, and for the price, you're not going to get any better than that. The front hub also appears to be a cup and cone, probably ball bearings in a race. The rims are listed online as double wall. I couldn't find any specs on the Ozark to compare it to. However, the Ozark does have quite a nice Kenda gravel specific tyre. While it is the same, I believe, a 700 by 40C, these tyres that are spec'd on this bike are not quite as nice of a gravel tyre. They still do have a little bit of tread and they would be quite fast rolling, but it's not something that you would probably take onto any real rough gravel. So while we are still working our way from the front to the back, there are a couple of things on the back that I'm about to mention. So on the Alpine here, we have 2 mounts on the top, which are great for top tube bags. The Ozark is not equipped with these. We also have a bottle cage mount on the seat tube. That is not equipped on the Ozark. Also, there are mounting points on the rear seat stays, which I believe the Ozark has the top mounts, but it doesn't have the lower bottom mount. Both bikes are equipped with bottle cage mounts on the top of the down tube and underneath the down tube. Now, coming back a little further, and in the videos of the Ozark, one of the first things that people notice is that the seat post in those bikes is steel, and it just has the old BMX style clamp for the seat. This Alpine is spec'd with an aluminium seat post straight away, which is great. It's not something that you're gonna have to go out and upgrade, and it's something that you can have a little bit more confidence in than the 2 bolts clamping through the side of the seat. It also looks considerably better than a steel seat post. All right, so moving on to the down tube, we do have internal cable routing. Now, this is a sort of internal cable routing where that cable outer actually runs inside the frame. So it enters up here at the top of the down tube, it runs all the way down, and then it just comes out at the bottom of the down tube where the bottom bracket is. So it'll be nice and easy to service your cables if you ever need to. So while we're at the bottom bracket, it is a square taper bottom bracket with a 2-by and a L2 front derailleur. So moving on to the back of the bike, we are spec'd with the same double wall rim, same 700 by 40C tyre, same unsealed hubs, same mechanical disc brakes, a L2 rear derailleur. But what is the biggest notable upgrade over the Ozark is the fact that the rear of this bike is spec'd with a free hub and the Ozark is spec'd with a free wheel. So the upgradability of the rear cassette on this bike is much easier than if you were to try and upgrade the rear wheel on the Ozark. A lot of people will have to upgrade the whole wheel set. With this, it is as easy as swapping over the rear cassette. Now, I'm not sure how big of a cassette you can actually upgrade to on this bike, but off the shelf, it is a 7-speed. So out of the box, the bike looks great. I can't see any visual notable defects so far. The only thing that was a bit annoying was that I'm missing one of the cage bolts, which isn't a big issue. Once I order some cages for this, then I'll just use the bolts that it comes with, and I'll replace this black bolt with the bolt that I've pinched from the underside of the down tube. So the bike also comes with plastic pedals, which are nothing special, but they'll do the job for the first couple of rides. And the seat, just, yeah, nothing to mention. It doesn't look too bulky. It does feel quite soft, so I would say that it's going to be quite comfortable to sit on. Whether it fits me very well, I don't know. It's something that you keep in mind if you are going to go and upgrade. At a starting point of $400, considering that I'm riding a Merida Silex 200, which is basically considered an entry-level gravel bike. At the moment, I believe the newest model is down to about $1,200 on sale. That's still a considerable difference between that bike and this. So for the first ride, I'm going to take it out exactly how it comes out of the box. Plastic pedals, reflectors, bell, dork disc, the lot. I'll go over it, make sure that it's ready, and I'll take it out for a ride tomorrow and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so we're out here for the first track on the Fluid Alpine. Little gravel road that's quite close to home, and there's probably only a couple of kilometers of gravel in it. So I just wanted to get it out here, give it a bit of a shake over the rough surfaces and just see what comes loose. So far so good. I did go over everything last night before I brought it out and gave it a bit of a tighten up. Out of the box, it did run and you would have been able to ride it. However, there was a couple of issues. The biggest being the front derailleur. I couldn't shift up into the biggest ring, and that was due to the limit screws just being wound nearly all the way in both sides, which was basically holding it in the small ring. Once I adjusted that, I also realized that the front derailleur was a little bit skewed. So by taking a little bit of the tension off the cable and adjusting it straight, it now runs really good. I've done 16 Ks out here and there has been no rubbing. Another little benefit to these L2 shifters is that the front mech does have trim adjust. So you can go nearly the whole range of the rear cassette without it rubbing on the front derailleur, which is, yeah, it's very handy. Obviously it's not recommended to cross chain. However, if you're like me, you just sit in the big ring and just use the rear to make it work. You do get a little bit of rubbing on the top ring of the rear cassette. However, if you're gonna go that far, you may as well drop down to the small ring in the front. So with all that said, let's jump on, get a couple more Ks in, and we'll call it a day. This way. So that'll wrap up this video of the unboxing and basic comparison to its American competition. In the next video, we'll strip off the reflectors, I'll swap my pedals over, I'll get rid of the dork disc. While the back wheel's off, I might weigh a couple of the components so you can get a bit of an idea of where the weight is distributed on the bike. We'll give it another once over now that the cable outers seem to have seated firmly in their correct positions. Then we'll take it out on a proper ride and we'll see exactly how it goes over some real gravel. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and hopefully you're keen for the upcoming videos featuring this bike. If you did like it, please drop a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also share to one of your friends if you think they may be interested in this sort of content as well. But yeah, thanks for watching and until the next one,